my friends. Hands up if you like knitting and crochet. Yes, I do. I love yarn. I haven't done any knitting or crochet on this channel, but I thought it was time. So it's getting cold here in Australia. Winter is coming. Is anybody else watching season 8? Oh my goodness, I'm totally obsessed. Anyway, back on track. Yes, it is getting really cold here in Australia, and we're getting a wood fire put in our lounge room this winter, which is fantastic because our house is quite cold in winter. So it's going to be installed just over there. So I've been thinking that I really wanted like a knitted or crocheted blanket for like on the lounge here in front of the fire. So this is my new project, and I thought I would share it with you. So I thought it was time for us to learn how to make some little granny squares. These are some of the ones that I've made, and I'm going to stitch them all together and have a really bright colourful throw for over the edge of the lounge. These would be fantastic for making babies' blankets. You could stitch like 4 or 6 together and make dishcloths, and I am going to jump right in and show you how to make a basic, classic, timeless granny square. You can do so much with these. There are so many different ways that you can make granny squares, but I'm just going to show you the way that I do it. And you know, it's just a simple way, and I think they're lovely. I think they're just gorgeous. If you want a written pattern, then I will actually like create like a written version on my website that you can like download. So if you want to have the paper copy near you, you can print it out from the website. So if you go to www.studiosam.art, I'll have a pattern on there under the freebies tab that you can download this. So before we start, here are the basics. Every granny square starts off with a ring of chain stitches in the middle to form a little circle ring, and into that ring we form these little clusters that are made out of treble stitches. Basic terminology, I'm in Australia, so we follow the UK British crochet terminology. So to me, all of these little stitches that I have made are trebles. If you're in the US, you would call these stitches double crochet stitches. So that's just a little bit of a difference. So we're going to start by making the little ring out of chain stitches and form our little clusters here with little corners made out of chain stitches around them. And then we work in rounds. Okay, so to start off, I've got the yarn here, ball side on that side. On my left side, I've got the little short end. Using my right hand, I am going to make a number 6. A little basic number 6 there. Under, pick up that yarn. And if I give it a little pull like that, you get a lovely little slip knot. Make it a little bit tighter, and we're ready to go. So, when it comes to this little circle ring of chain stitches, every pattern for granny squares tends to have a little bit of a difference. I like this centre nice and tight. I don't like a big loose hole in the middle, so I do less. I tend to only do 3 or 4 chains to make this little ring. There are many patterns that will use 5, 6 or even 8. I think I've seen a pattern that used 8 chains in the middle. That will just give you a really big hole here that looks quite loose. If that's what you like, then you can add more chains. So for today, with my yarn, I am going to use 4 chains. 1 chain, 2 chains, 3 chains, 4 chains. And what we are going to do now, poke it into the very first chain that we made, and we are going to do a slip stitch to join that into a nice neat little circle. I'll take that loose thread down and away under our working thread, pull through the first loop, pull through the second loop, and we have done it. There's our little ring of chains that we are going to work into. So the first thing to do is to create our first cluster. At the moment, our hook is quite down close to this first little ring, so we need to create some distance. So what you do is you make 3 chains, 1, 2, 3, and that gives you some distance so that you're now not totally on your little ring of chains. So the clusters are made up out of treble stitches, and those 3 chains that we just worked then acts as one of those trebles. Let's go with our first one. Hook under, into our ring, pick up the yarn again, back through to the front, pick up your yarn, through 1, through 2, pick up your yarn, through the last 2. Okay, let's do that again, and we'll have 3. Pick up the yarn, into the middle of our ring, pick up your yarn, back through to the front, yarn through 2, yarn through 2. And that means that we now have our first little cluster of 3. We can give it a little bit of a tug and a pull, shuffle him into place. So you can see the first little treble is made up out of our 3 chains to give us some distance out, and then we have got 2 little trebles next to it. And that is our first little cluster. We now need to make a corner. Corners are easy. 3 chains to make a corner. 1, 2, 3. Now let's go with our second cluster, 3 trebles. Yarn through, yarn out. Yarn through 2, yarn through 2. Okay, let's go again. Yarn into the ring, yarn back out. Yarn through 2, yarn through 2. Okay, and that has given us 2 little trebles. Let's go again for the last one. Yarn through, yarn out, yarn through 2, yarn through 2. Alright, that is our second cluster. I'm going to give it a little bit of a tug and a pull around so that you can see what we've done. Hey! Okay, 1 cluster, 2 clusters, 1 corner here, we need another corner. Easy, 3 chains. 1, 2, 3. Okay, here we go again, same, another cluster. I'll go a little bit quicker now. 1 treble, 2 trebles, 3 trebles. Okay, almost done. Corner, 1, 2, 3 chain. Okay, now we need to make our last cluster. 3 trebles now into our same little ring to make the last cluster. Pull and a tug, you can see where we're up to. We have done all 4 clusters. We need to do our last little corner. 1, 2, 3 chains for our last corner, and now what we need to do is we need to slip stitch it into the 3rd chain up, because you don't want to slip stitch it down like that and make it like a flower petal. It needs to come up and slip stitch so that it makes a nice straight little connection here. So the way to do that is to find the third chain up of what we made, and the best way to do that is to count your V's. So you can see the little chain stitches make a V. So that is chain number 1, chain number 2, chain number 3. Is that one there. Pull it and poke it so that you can see it clearly. Okay, so it's gone in there. Grab some yarn, pull it back out, and through the one that you've got on your hook. And there we have it. Our first round. So you can see here, I used a chain of 4 to make that center ring. And you can see how it has actually got quite a hole. I think with these, I probably used only 3, and it's made it really tight. But that can be really hard if you're a beginner, because it means that that little tiny center ring is really small and really quite tricky to see. So as you're starting out, if these are just new to you and you're just working out how to crochet for the first time, maybe just stick with 4 chains for that center ring. It'll make things a little bit easier. And then if you decide you want to make it, a little bit smaller and tighter later on, then you can. Okay, so now let's start with round 2. There are different ways to do this. Some people join around so that the joining goes up through the side. I don't do it that way. I find that it's a bit too visible and you can see where the joining is up through the middle here. I find if I do the round joins up through the corners, it makes it almost invisible and you really can't see where the joins happen between the rounds. I'll show you what I mean by that. So to get some height again, we need to do 3 chains, which acts as a treble. 1, 2, 3 chains. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to do 2 trebles to make our cluster. Where are they going to go? They're going to go into this big corner section. Okay, so we've got one. We're going to pretend that's 1 treble there. We're going to have 2 more next to it, and they are all going to work back into this little corner. That's one of them. That's one more. Okay, so we have got our new little cluster, which is going to be half of this corner. We'll do the other half of that little corner after we come all the way around. Okay, so that you can get an idea what we've done. We've finished that little center one. We've come back and we've done this side, this little cluster here into the corner. Okay, so 1 chain and now 3 trebles into this corner. So that side part is done. We now need to make our corner, 3 chains to go around the corner, and then we'll finish off the corner cluster. 1, 2, 3 chains, and now let's work 3 trebles into this same little corner here to make our corner. Okay, looking good. I always feel like I need to pull them to kind of so you can kind of visualize exactly where you're up to. Alright, so we've done our 3 trebles, 3 chains to go around the corner, another 3 trebles there, 1 chain to jump this bridge, and now we're ready to go here. Okay, so what we're going to do, 3 trebles, 3 chains around the corner, and another 3 trebles, all into this corner gap. One chain to jump this bridge, and let's work into this corner gap. It's going to be, we do 3 trebles, 3 chains to go around the corner, and another 3 trebles to form that corner cluster. Let's go. Words that come together, a story that we never told. So for your sake and for my own, you said 3. Okay, we're coming up to the end of it. So what is our plan now? You know how it goes. A chain to jump that bridge over into here. So we have got half of our corner cluster from when we started off. So what we do 3, a cluster of 3 here. Okay, then we do our little chains to join up to make the corner, and that side is already there. And the last little treble. Okay, so you can see how our corner will finish off. We have got, there's 1 cluster there, another cluster here. All we need is our little chain of 3. We don't want to join it up down the bottom here. We want to join it up there. 1, 2, 3 chains, and we need to find the 3rd chain from when we started. Here we go. 1 V, 2 V's, 3 V's will be this little guy here, under the first one, under the second one, yarn, through, and through again, and we have done it. So you don't have to change colours. You can just keep on going and going and going with that same pattern. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how I change colours, just in case you're interested. So what I do is I've been doing this because I've been making all these. I kind of have a rough idea now of what I need to do to change colours. So I have joined and slip stitched this together. I now know that it takes me this much yarn. It's like an inch out from my hook, from the base of my hook. I'm going to take that out. At that inch point, that's how much I know it takes me to tie a knot. I'm going to attach it to purple. And just do a regular little knot. Now, I don't know if there's any, crochet gurus out there who have been crocheting, their whole life. This might not be the most technically correct way of doing stuff, but, it's worked well for me. So I have pulled it back now to the beginning of 2. So I've got 2 trebles there, 2 stitches. Okay, so now I need to finish off number 3 again because it came undone when I did that. Finish off that third one, 3 chain, 1, 2, 3. Okay, now that knot is really close now from the chain, from where I've joined it. And the good thing is, where to join it is kind of big now. It's really easy to put in. Okay, grab some yarn, back through 1, back through 2, and I can't believe it, for this demonstration it has ended perfectly. The little knot is there. This is where, as I go now, I will pick up a new colour. Okay. Every now and again I don't get it totally right, like I get the knot, a centimetre too close or a centimetre too far, and I'm just trying to find an example. I'm pretty casual with that kind of thing. That doesn't bother me. It just means that you might get, here you go, here's an example. It just means that you might get, I haven't got that orange should have started right back from here, and I wouldn't have got that little flash of aqua going through there. If I'd gotten the exact dimensions, I could have undone it and retried, but I haven't got time for that. I just keep on going. So we're up to round 1, 2, round 3. We're going to do what we did last time, and we are going to work back into this open gap over here. So we're going to do 3 chains to give us some height, okay, as a faux treble, and we're going to work 2 more trebles right back into this corner hole. 1, 2, 3. Oh, see, there you go. I didn't get the knot, the colour join exactly right. That first chain should have been purple. So, I could go back and make it, a tiny bit closer, but 1 chain out, I don't mind. Now we're going to do what we did before. 1 chain to jump this bridge, and for the first time we've actually got a little hole now, a little chain, like a little space here in the middle of our row, and that's what happens more and more as these little granny squares get bigger. So last one we just went from corner to corner with our clusters. Now we actually get to put a little cluster in here. So 1 chain to jump that bridge of clusters, and 3 into this space here. Okay, 1 chain to jump that bridge, and 3 into the beginning of this corner. 1, 2, 3. Okay, give it a little pull, give it a little tug, flatten it out. Here we go. So we've got our first corner cluster. We need to do 3 chains to go around the corner and another little cluster there. Waves come crashing up to me. Okay, 1 chain to jump this bridge, and 3 more into this little side now, working up this side. Round 3, we have worked up here, worked around this corner, and we're working our way back around here. So I'm going to just kind of keep going, and you know, you guys will know the pattern now of this, okay, until we get to the end. I'm just going to speed this up a little bit. So what I'm going to do now is 1 chain to jump this gap, 3 treble, our little treble corner with the 3 chain in between, work up this side in the same way, work our little 2 little clusters, corner clusters over here, and work back around through here. And let's see what happens when we get to the end. It'll be the same as before. Okay, we have come all the way around, and we are up to this last little corner. So I've done the cluster in the middle. I'm going to chain 1 to jump this bridge over to this corner. We're going to do our cluster of 3 here. Okay, do our last little cluster. 1, 2, last one. Okay, there's our last little cluster there, and now we do our 3 chains to go around the corner, and we don't want to join back down here where it kind of makes it look goofy. We want to join it so it's nice and flat up here, which is the 3rd chain from when we started. Here we go again, looking at the V's. Chain 1, chain 2, chain 3 is U. Onto the other side of it. Pull through and through again. Okay, and we have done. Give it a little pull. Now you can see where I didn't get the colour joining exactly right there. That little one there could have been purple, but you know what? Hey, it doesn't matter. Here we go. We have done 1, 2, 3 rounds of our granny square. We are going to do the exact same thing again for our last round. Okay, so how do we start? We are going to start by doing 3 chains up here to act as 1 treble, and then another 2 trebles right back into this corner gap here. And there it is. So, first round we didn't have any little side gaps to work into. This second round we had 1, we've now got 2 that we can work into. And just remember, you always do just 1 chain to jump these bridges. Okay, first cluster done. A chain to jump the bridge, and another cluster into this one. 1 chain to jump this bridge, and we're going to work our corner, which is a cluster, 3 chains, and another cluster. Okay, there we go. That little corner done. Now we are going to follow the same pattern all the way around. Okay, 1 chain to jump these bridges, a cluster of 3 into each one, 3 chains around your corner. I miss our autumn walks in the forest. Okay, we have come all the way around the outside, and now all I have to do is 1 more little cluster, corner cluster here, and then the 3 chains to join up to that. 1, 2, 3 chain, 3rd V, 1, 2, 3, it goes into there. Take some yarn, pull it through, straighten myself up, and pull it through again. Hey, we have done it. Okay. If you followed me and you are still with me, congratulations, pat yourself on the back. You have finished a granny square. Incredible. Amazing. Now all we need to do is tie this little guy off. We are going to snip about maybe 1.5 inches out with that loose end, as if you're going to do a chain, but it just pulls straight through. I'm going to pull that down. It will go nice and tight. It doesn't pull out. And then there we have it. We have got another little granny square just like all of our others. And let me zoom out. You can see when you've got lots of them, you can imagine what they're going to look like if they're all joined together. So here's the magic of granny squares. You don't have to stop at 4 rounds like I did. You can keep on going. You can make a whole blanket out of one granny square. You could make a baby blanket out of big granny squares that are like this big. You could make teeny tiny granny squares out of just 2 or 3 rounds. It's amazing and it's endless, and you can just be so creative and come up with amazing things. You can make baby blankets, you can make a throw rug for the lounge like what I'm going to make. You can make washcloths, like you could join 4 of these together, or dishcloths for wiping down the kitchen, which is so much nicer than plastic kind of based ones. There's all kinds of things. If you hop on Pinterest and search granny squares with the inspiration that they've got, oh my goodness, it's amazing. So the only thing, if you're going to make lots of little ones like this, I will give you one of my biggest tips, and that is to weave in these little loose ends as you go. There is nothing worse than finishing 100 of these and then having to go back and weave in the ends at the, all these little loose ends after you've finished them all. It is the most boring job. But I find if I do it as I go, like as I finish one of them, it's so much easier and not such a huge task. So this one, the very first one, is a little bit long. I'm going to trim it so that it's about 1 inch. Here's how I do it. I don't know if there's like a technically correct way of doing this, but I'll show you how I do it. What I want to do is, it's simply about pulling it through stitches so that it disappears. So if I just go under a couple of these, I can take that loose end and drag it through behind, like that. If I push my hook under here, I'll be able to drag it through this lot. So I'm just going to snip that off a little bit there. So then you've got 2 more loose threads to do here. I'll go under these guys here, pull them through, and then maybe like a bit under there and a bit under there, and 1 more to go. We can take this one down, and then it can go through here, and then it can kind of traverse along here, and maybe it can go under there. There we go. So all the little loose ends are tucked in. There is our gorgeous little granny square. So what yarn am I using? Well, I'm really glad you asked, because I've got something really exciting to show you. I've been working on this a long time, and it has finally happened. Look at this. Dun, dun, dun! My very own Studio Sam yarn collection. I couldn't find beautiful yarn in colour coordinated sets like what I wanted, so I decided to create my own. 50-gram balls of yarn, so they're full size 50-gram balls. You get 10 of them in the set, and this is the Boho Brights collection, so just colours that I love that work together really well. 100% cotton. Now it's unmercerised cotton, so it is super soft, but it is not shiny like what most mercerised cotton is. So it's beautifully matte and absorbent. So it's great for washcloths and dishcloths and things like that, and of course beautiful for babies' blankets, babies' clothes. There is also, it comes with the pattern for the granny squares in there, and it is available now on Amazon. So if you're in the US, this is available on Amazon US right now. If you search for Studio Sam Yarn, that will come up. I will also, of course, have a link in the description below if anybody's interested in checking that out on Amazon. So at the moment, only on Amazon US, but of course with other locations like Amazon Australia to follow in the future. And also, this is the pastels collection. So beautiful, soft pastel colours. This will be the Pastel Dreams collection, and that will be available as well in probably by the, what is it now? It's the middle of May. Probably around the middle of June, around 4 weeks time, that will be on the same listing as well. So you can choose between whether you like the bright colours or whether you like the really light pastel colours. So if anybody does make anything out of my yarn, if anybody does actually get it and make anything, take a photo and put it on Instagram. I would absolutely love to see what you guys have created. So today, just a quick little video about how to make a granny square. I will also I've been making some crochet dishcloths for the kitchen, you know, wiping down benches and in the shower. So I will make a video about my favourite pattern for those as well coming up in the near future. So that is it for today, guys. Thanks so much for following along. If anybody makes anything, if you make granny squares, put it on Instagram and tag me. I would love to see. And of course, if you've got any comments at all, write them in the comment section below. I read each and every single comment, and I love getting them. So talk to you later, guys. Thanks so much for following along. Bye.